You can tell, COINTEL, my clique has never failed. My boat has never sunk, my ship has never sailed. My hope is never shaken, my spirit is never broken. My legs are never open, my words will always be quoted. My vision is focused. Tell the POTUS I don't trust him, he'll never be noticed. I think it's time that I put you all on notice. I'm the one, David Ruffin, I'll never be Otis. If I did it, then it better work. The music industry hates me cause I'll never twerk. I'm in a different world, each verse brings the metaverse. Optometrist, I change vision like the Oculus. Watch me fly over Metropolis. Tell all the populace, rise from sarcophagus. No hypothesis, I see apocalypse. Muhammad's disciple speaks like a prophetess. We got him like we got him like, yeah. We got him like. Tell the people we coming through and we got them like. It's ain't love from the west, coming strong, Cali's best. We got them like. Tell the people we coming through and we got them like.
Disseminating. All right, and welcome back to this edition of New Day, Resurrection, and Liberation. And I'm your host, co-host and moderator for this evening, Brother Lumumba Case, and of course I have with me the host with the most, Dr. Sister Empress Chi.
All right.
All right. Shout out to Baba Moses. We got him in the yard. All right. Greetings, Baba Moses. Thank you for joining us this evening as well.
Greetings.
All right. With that being said, let me turn it over to Sister Empress and let's get this party started.
All right. Well, again, greetings to everyone, and thank you for joining this segment of New Day, Resurrection and Liberation. Of course, we will continue observing and commemorating Black Music Month, but also certainly we would be remiss if we did not mention Juneteenth. There's a lot of different thoughts about Juneteenth, so we're going to kind of open it up tonight to kind of hear what some of your thoughts are. But one of the questions that we want to raise is, where do we go from here? So, of course, we know what Juneteenth represents. And Brother Lumumba, I did send you a clip. I somehow lost the one that I really wanted to show, but I did send a brief one. It wasn't the one I wanted because the one I initially had a lot more information in it, and somehow I lost it in my, doing other stuff. But anyway, we want to make sure that we, of course, kind of gave folks some other insight into Juneteenth. For example, there is a sister, an elder, who's known as the mother of Juneteenth. And that's what we really wanted to share with you, because a lot of times I hear about Juneteenth. I hear, in fact, all day yesterday I was out and people were observing and celebrating and, talking about Juneteenth and various things. But I rarely hear about a Black woman who really was extremely instrumental in bringing about not only awareness, but the whole fact that it became a holiday. So with that said, for those who do not know, and I'm wondering how many really do know about this incredible Black woman, who, interestingly enough, is still with us. So Brother Muma, did you see that clip?
Yes, let me see. Yep, I got it.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go to that. And with that said, family, the question is, where do we go from here? And of course, what I'm referring to is the fact that, of course, some documentation went in to deal with a physical type of enslavement, which, of course, they kind of took some of that back, and we'll go into that another time. But certainly we would be remiss if we did not say or believe that some of our people really did feel a sense of something happening that was positive for them. But but again, we also know that we are now experiencing what some call psychological slavery or mental slavery. And I would dare say we're certainly seeing it, particularly with some of what we're hearing today. I mean, we've seen it over the decades, needless to say, but lately, in what's been kind of manifesting with the injustices, two in particular, one with an unaliving of a young baby, and then of course with the injustice of the young brother in Texas. And so both injustices we're going to kind of look at a little closer tonight. But the point is that listening to some of the comments from some people on both of those situations is like almost unbelievable. And I'm talking about from our people. I'm not even talking about the enemy. I'm talking about from our people. So the point is, mental enslavement is definitely alive and kicking. So with that said, we'll go more into that a little later on. But for now, let's hear about Mother Opal.
All right. And actually known as the grandmother of
Right.
Juneteenth. Okay, let me go to that clip now.
It is the newest federal holiday, but it's one of the oldest celebrations. President Joe Biden making it official in 2021 when he signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act. The legislation was co-sponsored by the late Houston area representative, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. When the act was signed, the Congresswoman was there along with Opal Lee, the North Texas woman who lobbied for the federal holiday's creation. She is now 98 years old. The retired teacher and counselor can directly trace her roots back to slavery. Her paternal great-grandmother was born into slavery in Louisiana. Today, more than 1,600 people participated in the Juneteenth walk Opal Lee started. For the first time, she was not able to join the crowd for that 2.5-mile walk. The distance of 2.5 miles representing the 2.5 years it took for enslaved people to find out they were free after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed.
Right. Stop my speech there.
All right. So there was one other one actually that should have been that came after that.
Okay.
Check to see if you see that. But at any rate, family, can you imagine a black woman in her 80s went on a walk to, bring the issue forward in regards to Juneteenth, right? And so, I rarely hear about her. Okay, so let's hear a little more. We're going to go to one more clip. And again, there was another one that really gave us a lot of good information. I somehow misplaced it. But here's one more to give you a little more insight.
Meet Opal Lee, the grandmother of Juneteenth. At age 89, Opal walked from Fort Worth, Texas to Washington, D.C. to advocate for Juneteenth to become a national holiday celebrating the end of slavery in the United States. Opal walked approximately 1,400 miles, traveling 2.5 miles a day to represent the 2.5 years it took for news of freedom to reach enslaved people in Texas. Thanks to decades of Opal's relentless work, Juneteenth became a federal holiday, and we remember, as a nation, one of the most meaningful moments in our history. Meet Opal Lee, the grandmother of Juneteenth. At age 89, Opal walked from Fort Worth, Texas to Washington, D.C. to advocate for Juneteenth to become a national holiday celebrating the end of slavery in the United States. Opal walked approximately 1,400 miles, traveling 2.5 miles a day to represent the 2.5 years it took for news of freedom to reach enslaved people in Texas. Thanks to decades of Opal's relentless work, Juneteenth became a federal holiday, and we remember, as a nation, one of the most meaningful moments in our history. Meet Opal Lee.
All right. So, hey, Brother Lumumba, did you know about the grandmother of Juneteenth?
I did and I didn't at the same time. So I remember, the piece with Biden,
Uh
and
huh.
you know, I did not know her name though, and I wasn't really clear on the history. Now, interestingly enough, I'm gonna see if I can pull that video shortly. But I was on social media earlier today, and I saw another clip with her, and it was actually talking about a documentary that she, was helping to spearhead and collaborate on, on Juneteenth, and one of the major networks, I believe it was Netflix, if I'm not mistaken, denied it.
Uh huh.
And so an independent film company actually picked it up, and it's now streaming on their platform.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and she got into the history a little bit on that. So I'm gonna see if I can pull that up real quick, and
Okay.
you'll be able to share that as well.
All right. All right. Brother Moses, what about you? What are your thoughts about now knowing more about the grandmother of Juneteenth? What are your thoughts?
Certainly, I had never heard of her. It was definitely enlightening for me, a political conscious awareness, awakening, and I appreciate that. I think, we have a lot of untold stories. I mean, as we get into the details of our liberation, we're going to find out there's a lot of people that have not been, they've been behind the scenes, so to speak.
Ashe, ashe. But I just find it so interesting that so many people are now celebrating or observing Juneteenth, and yet her name and the work that she did. I mean, again, can you imagine walking thousands of miles in your 80s in order
Mm.
to? I mean, I get it. I mean, come on, y'all. I
Yeah.
can't even see some folks in their 40s, 30s, and 40s walking thousands of miles, but, ooh,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing. Amazing. And inspiring, like you said. There's individuals, half her age, who aren't doing the tenth of what she has done, and is able was able to accomplish, and is still pushing, as she's still with us today. So this is just another kind of stark reminder of our potential, our capabilities, and some of our duties and responsibilities, and should give us another sense of accountability as far as what we should be doing, to help to liberate our people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, were you able to find the clip that you were looking for?
I have it. I just have to send it to myself so I can pull it up real quick.
Okay, no problem. All right. So, again, family, who knew? Well, now we do know. And so I'm going to tell you that for this year's Million Woman March 29, we're going to reach out to Mother Opal and hopefully have her to join us this year. We think that would be just a wonderful way to bring even more attention to another great Black woman's work, and of course, the continuation of freedom. And note, the clip that I had brought another story about her that kind of mentioned a little in this particular clip that we just heard, and it was that something happened on the land that her family owned, and they ended up, I think, losing it. But to fast forward over like several decades, she was able to buy it back.
Mm.
Okay. That I mean, yeah, I'm hoping I'll find the other clip, but this again is just the kind of thing that we just really need to pay closer attention to and embrace, right? So
Okay, I got the clip pulled up.
okay, great.
All right, let me share that real quick. I think we got somebody else in the back room, so I'm gonna see if I can pull them up in a second. Let me share this. Oh, it's Amazon. There it is. Okay, let me let it play.
Oh, wow.
People to think it's a
Okay.
black thing. It's a freedom thing. And on the 19th of June, people began to gather. And the newspaper said it was 500 of the police were there, but the police couldn't control the mob. My father came with a gun, and the police told him, if you bust a cap, we'll let the mob have you.
How did the fire have an impact on you?
On the fact that it happened on the 19th of June, I decided that if a little old lady in tennis shoes walked from Fort Worth, Texas to Washington, D.C., somebody would take notice. And so I started out walking 2.5 miles to symbolize that. In Texas, the enslaved didn't know they were free for 2.5 years. We were called to the White House. The president was going to sign the bill. We don't want people to think it's a black thing. It's a
Amazon and big streamers may have passed on our Juneteenth documentary, so I took the power in my own hands and I've created my own streaming site called Melanin TV, where you can watch our Juneteenth documentary right now. It's crazy because I learned so much making this documentary, especially about how Dr. Opal Lee walked from Fort Worth, Texas to Washington, D.C. to demand that Juneteenth becomes a federal holiday. Be sure to follow Melanin TV. It's in the caption down below. Oh, happy Juneteenth and enjoy the Juneteenth documentary. It will inspire you. It will empower you. It will do it all. I look forward to hearing your thoughts and thank you for your support. Peace.
Okay. All right.
All right.
That's Melanin TV. Okay, that's the network that's on. All right, so that's the Juneteenth documentary, family.
Wow.
It's called Freedom Day.
Great.
Right, right.
And to recap, I think that's what it was referring to. That something happened on the land, and I think the brother mentioned it was a fire, and it happened on Juneteenth.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
White mob, stormed her town, and
Right.
Set the place ablaze, and her father came out and was ready to, he came out armed. He was ready to defend himself in the town, and they I think they had to escape or something to that nature, and they had to double back. But yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Wonderful. All right, Brother Miller. Check again. I think I also sent you a clip for Black Music Month, and we did something on Ethereal Journey last week that was just really, really powerful for Black Music Month, and actually the week before that, I think, as well. A lot of good information, a lot of pioneers for the blues and rock and roll. And well, there's another one that we're going to talk a little bit about tonight that most probably have not heard of. And I remember hearing about him just a little bit when I was growing up. My mom and dad used to play, these records and stuff. So I remember it vaguely, but we're going to share it with you tonight because I'm doing a little more research because I kind of suspect that Sam Cooke might have been inspired by this particular artist, even though Sam Cooke had his own, style and everything. But there's something about this particular artist that I also think kind of influenced some people. So let's go.
You've heard the song Fever your entire life. Peggy Lee sang it, Madonna sang it, countless artists covered it. But what if I told you the man who made it famous first died in prison at just 30 years old? And most people don't even know his name? His name was Little Willie John, and some music historians consider him one of the true architects of soul music. Born in Arkansas in 1937, Little Willie John grew up singing gospel, before exploding onto the music scene as a teenager. According to Rock and Roll Hall of Fame records, his 1956 recording of Fever sold more than 1 million copies and earned a gold record. The hit launched a career that produced classics like Need Your Love So Bad, Talk to Me, and Leave My Kitten Alone. According to Billboard archives, he scored 15 R and B chart hits and crossed over into mainstream success. But here's where the story turns. Other artists became famous singing his songs. Peggy Lee's version of Fever became the one most people remember. Fleetwood Mac turned Need Your Love So Bad into a classic. The Beatles recorded Leave My Kitten Alone. Meanwhile, the man who helped create the sound of soul music was being left behind. According to Susan Whittle's biography, Fever, Little Willie John, A Fast Life, Mysterious Death and the Birth of Soul, his personal life began spiraling. In 1964, after a fatal altercation in Seattle, he was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to prison. 4 years later, in 1968, Little Willie John died behind bars at just 30 years old. The official cause was listed as a heart attack, though questions about the circumstances have lingered for decades. Then came the ultimate irony. The voice that influenced generations of singers was gone, but his music lived on through other people. When the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame finally inducted him in 1996, Stevie Wonder helped honor the man his own mother once used as the standard for greatness. As Stevie later acknowledged, Little Willie John wasn't just a singer, he was a pioneer. So here's my question. Why do we remember the covers but forget the original artists who changed music forever? Comment Fever if this is your first time hearing Little Willie John's story. Share this with a music lover. And
All right. Little Willie John there.
Right. Okay, we got a couple other people that joined us in the yard, along with Baba Moses. We also have Sister Manera, Sister Dot, and Sister Shayla. So thank you for joining us on this edition of New Day Resurrection.
All right. And thank you, Sister Manera, Sister Manera sent a very interesting article earlier. I'm glad she's with us because maybe we can talk briefly about it. But see, I told y'all, and I'm going to still tell y'all, Black folks better get it together. I'll tell you why I'm saying that in a few minutes when we go to Sister Manera and the article that she sent. But before we do that, what are your thoughts about Little Willie?
I mean, wow, just a pioneer. You know, that was a new one to me. You got me on that one for sure.
I know, because you be coming up with some stuff, Brother Lumumba, but I thought this would get you.
Yeah. And shout out to Sister Dottie again, too, because she was the one that sent me the background information for those other sisters, because I know we had done the piece on Sister Thorpe, the godmother of rock and roll, but Sister Dot is the one that actually sent me the other information on the other women pioneers of rock and roll and the blues. So
all right.
Not on that one. Yes, indeed.
All right. Thank you, Sister Dottie. Yeah. That's what we're talking about. See, when we get ready, we're going to do our own independent newspaper. We will tell you about we're working on that. So we know we got 2 dynamite writers already, or contributors already, Sister Dottie and Sister Manera. Right. But what are your thoughts on Little Willie?
Oh yeah, absolutely, Dottie Bay. Oh yeah. Also, speaking of contributors, shout out to Sister J. Renee. YouTube, and shout out to Sister Shirley Baker tuning in on YouTube as well. Absolutely. And again, for those who are not familiar with the song, "You Give Me Fever in the morning," that was Little Willie. Yeah, because the first time I heard that song, like they said, it was from the woman.
Yeah, right. The white female. Right.
That's why I recognized it. Yeah. Right. So that when I heard that, I was like, wow. And it kind of reminded me of Why Do Fools Fall in Love? Oh, dang.
Right. Frankie
Frankie.
Lyman.
Yes.
Right.
When I seen him, I immediately thought of Frankie Lyman. I was like, wow, this is crazy. Yep.
Yep. So
definitely.
listen, let's bring some of the folks from backstage and get their views. What are your views on, again, another pioneer for rock and roll that you never hear anything about? What do y'all think about that?
Let me open up the floor for that. So yeah, let me open up the floor, family. What is your thoughts and opinions on our brother we just heard? Little Willie.
It's just a dot.
Yes, that's a dot.
Well, I heard of him, but he really escaped my mind. And to like, I mean, I heard of him like earlier in my life. My mom used it,
Right.
but I forgot all about him
Mm-hmm.
completely until you just brought him back up. I know him. I know about him, but I didn't know he had died at 30.
Right. And you
See,
know what's so interesting? They said he died of a heart attack.
and it was suspicious. Of
Mm.
course it was. Another black person that doesn't have their rights to their music
That's right.
that they
And
done
he died in
stole.
prison.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Yeah. So they that's one of their segues when they want to get rid of folks. First they imprison them, and then it's
yes.
easier for them to do what they do. Yes, indeed. Thank you for that addition, Sister Dot. Anyone else? Any other thoughts on this brother that we just was able to highlight, brother Willie, or on our sister? We just did a segment on Sister Opal, Mother Opal.
Yes.
Also known as the grandmother of Juneteenth. Any additions on that, family?
Yes, I heard of Mama Oprah, and that was another one that I heard of like way back in my early life that I completely forgot about Juneteenth. Completely. And I'm glad you guys brought it back up. And I'm glad you guys is making an archive for us. Our music, our people. Um, it's just that thing of did you know um, what I who invented this, who that invented calendar and stuff. You guys are just extending it to the T. This is just awesome.
Right.
I'm sorry. I get that.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks. Much appreciated, Sister Dot.
Yes, indeed. All right. All right, family. Well, that's our segment on black music for tonight.
Oh,
You might.
oh, oh! I
Oh,
gotta jump in on black music real quick.
okay.
Because I gotta give a shout out to the ancestor Tupac Amaru Shakur,
Oh,
who
yeah.
June the 16th. So triple salute to
Absolutely.
revolutionary MC Tupac Shakur.
Yes. Absolutely. All right. All right. So, speaking of ancestors, before we go any further, we want to also, and again, we're going to open up the mic to ask the question, where do we go from here? Since yesterday was recognition of Juneteenth, freedom was a major focus, but the question now has to be, where do we go from here? Yes, something did happen in 1865, but to fast forward, look at what's happening now. And while there's not a physical kind of enslavement that we're dealing with directly, because it is one going on indirectly with food and other stuff. But there's still a mental or psychological enslavement that we know is going on. And we're going to go a little more into that as we proceed. But before we do, speaking of ancestors, there's two that I want to bring to the forefront tonight to salute. Interestingly enough, we've talked about, of course, one of the ancestors, and of course, that being Ancestor Ken Bridges, who lived here in Philadelphia, but was also known for something called Mata. And I find this so interesting, the timing right now, because what Mata was about buying black, creating a network of products that folks could purchase that were all black. And so he actually was doing that, So we want to hail up Ancestor Ken Bridges, who born day actually is June the 24th. And the other ancestor that we're going to hail up is a sister who I knew. Oh my gosh! You actually, her I won't say nickname. Her other name was Sister Courage. We knew her as Mama and Jerry Agani. But this sister was not only someone that you did not want to mess with, okay, in terms of self-defense, but she was also an incredible organizer. So, Brother Lumumba, could you look for, there's a clip with Sister and Jerry, because we've talked about plebiscite, right? Well, she talks a bit about plebiscite. Now, before we go to the clip, I want to share with you that Sister and Jerry, unfortunately, was in a car accident. She was coming from a conference, and it just so happened I was scheduled to meet with her that week. She was one of only a few of the women who were in Cobra that really, really made certain that there was a connection with MWM. In fact, if you look at some of the information on her, you can see that she was actually one of our official coordinators in 1997 for the Southern region, particularly in the Atlanta, Georgia area. But she also did personal security for me as well. And she did security for Queen Mother Moore. She was Queen Mother, one of Queen Mother Moore's security sisters. Okay. So on Monday, Monday, I have to check the date. We're going to do a whole thing this week on Black/African warrior sisters, because I'm creating a sister circle, a sister cipher for sisters who are in that kind of spirit, because we need to connect, we need to build based on that kind of energy. And so I'm creating the Empress's round and oval table circles, right? And so that way, for those sisters who are warrior oriented, freedom fighting oriented, we will be very comfortable with one another, as I was with Sister and Jerry and a few others. I found over the years that sometimes it's difficult for folk to comprehend or grasp that kind of energy or that kind of position. But, now that we know that it is absolutely necessary and so forth, we are creating a cadre of African women warriors, freedom fighters, etc., for MWM. So I'll give you a little more information about that as we proceed. But again, Sister and Jerry, incredible. She was the co-chair at the time of her becoming an ancestor, she was actually the national co-chair for Incomparable at that time. And again, we were planning to meet that week in order for MWM and Incomparable to become a little more capable of working together. She was one of very few of the women of Incomparable who really made certain that, that we were able to link as Black women. That's a whole nother conversation that will be had in the very near future. But again, we had to hail up our sister in Jerry, also known as Sister Courage. And so we're going to hear a clip from her because next year we do plan to hold our first national pre-plebiscite session. Right now, we're going to be just doing local kind of community-based and a few virtual pre-sessions. But next year, we're really hoping to really take it to the next level. So let's hear a little bit from Sister and Jerry.
All right. All right, let me share my screen. Here it is. Okay.
And by the way, family, while we're waiting for that, I'm going to check the date so I can give you that. But I believe this week we also resume our Black Poli-Sci 101 session, and we will be featuring Inez Barron, Sister Inez Barron will be joining us with part 1 and part 2. Part 1 this week, part 2 the following week. And her topic is going to be education for liberation. Right. With the political tone. So I'll give you the dates on that before we close out tonight. I got to look it up. But this is Sister and Jerry.
Talk about a plebiscite. And I believe that's a government within a government. How can we begin to establish a government when this government taking out sovereign governments like Haiti and other nations like Louisiana in their own country? They watch them die as long as they're melanated people. How can we develop a nation under such a cruel oppressor?
It's our birthright, Brother Gideon. It's our birthright, our human right to exist. Mm-hmm. To define for ourselves, speak for ourselves instead of others speaking for us. Mm-hmm. And so in this order, it's our natural birthright to do this. And as a mother, it would be one that we would teach our babies that we are indeed a captive nation. And I'm glad you recognize that I am a mother.
Absolutely.
A mother of 6, as a matter of fact.
Praise.
And in that, I've had to teach my children that we are a captive nation. And they were born, when they were born, they were given African names. And in this time of being in the 21st century, it's not really necessary to know the origin of our roots. We know that history has taught us that we are a nation within a nation, that we still continue to face in 2010, which means it's 2,000 years have gone, mm-hmm. plus 10. Right. And so now it's time for us to look at some terms like reparations, mm-hmm. like plebiscite, like sovereignty, like what a pleb is, what it means to be a common person. Everything points to the fact that we're a nation within a nation. Now, a nation in my mind, in my thinking from my studies, is that we have a common identity, mm-hmm. That's right. A common language, mm-hmm. a common purpose, mm-hmm. and therefore being able to plot. Because in our human right to exist means that we can plot our own destiny, exactly. Right. Plan for our own destiny. And then we begin to look at what resources is necessary to do that. We have a common identity. Right. We have a common, it could be a common land mass, which this would be considered as our national territory. Exactly. Back in the days, you had DJ saying it was 40 million. Some studies say 30 million. But whatever, it's a million, and you can't even count a million, really and truly. Okay. You really can't count it. It just keeps on rotating numbers. Okay. So we have a common land mass. Therefore, we begin to develop our own common culture. It could be based on whatever we define, because freedom is your right to define.
That's right.
And so our freedom has been interrupted. Our freedom has been interrupted.
Shay.
I say.
All right. Yes. So there you have it. That was indeed Ancestor Sister Njeri Agani. Incredible sister. I'll read a little later some of her history, some of the things that she did and was a part of. And this is why for me today, it's just kind of eerie, sort of, because our women today, and again, I'm not trying to throw any shade or anything like that, but I came up around different type of women. I mean, and what I mean by that is our women were involved in many things, not no 1-2 thing, many things, and was doing it well. So let me say that was doing it very well. Sister Njeri was in Cobra. She was RNA. She was the Rastafarian Women Federation. She was Queen Mother Moore Foundation. She was, it is just strange for me today to kind of see what I'm seeing, and people are really satisfied with that. But anyway, I digress. We'll go more into that. And this is why we are saying now the universal Black woman, because we want to bring forward the type of Black woman, the essence of what we know, or what we've seen from a historical perspective. When you look at Ida B. Wells, or Saint Ida B. Wells, or Saint Fannie Lou Hamer, or when you look at these women, they were like, whoa. And we have to look at today and say, where is that representation, particularly on a national level, meaning recognized not just in our communities, because that's very important. And by the way, MWM Community Queens and Warrior Queens, we will be meeting very soon. So hold on to that for a moment. But anyway, so we're going to go more into that. Brother Lumumba, check again. I think you might see the clip on Ancestor Ken Bridges. And we shared this particular clip before, but since we're talking about freedom, since we're talking about repair/reparations, because again, Sister Njeri she was an avid reparationist. Whereas, some folk kind of have the conversation, other folks literally do certain kinds of work for real. And again, we'll be pointing some of that out as we go. But one of the things we want to share in terms of next Friday here in Philly, and we'll do it virtually, we'll be presenting one of our plans of action from Black Print Agenda 30. And it is dealing with the issue of repair, both from a immediate or short-term perspective, as well as a protracted long-term perspective objective. And with that, introduce, as we're bringing in this conversation about plebiscite, what we'll be introducing next Friday on the 26th is what we call a model, for lack of a better terminology, that we look to take nationwide. But we're going to kick it off here in Philly, since Philly is the prime location for 250 years of this madness. We're going to introduce something as a part of a remedy for us. And it is New Black Philly. Now, New Black Philly can be either township, borough, or some other land kind of initiative. This is where we're a little different. So while we recognize and appreciate and will embrace individual, meaning family reparations, we want to also look at, as a people, what can that do? What should it do? And so again, we have to look at land mass. And at this stage of the game, we can. Now, I'm going to go to Sister Manira shortly because things that I say, sometimes people kind of listen and look at it and go, no, that can't happen, right? 3, 4, 5, even more years ago, we said to folk, we need to do something in regard to student loan debt. Black student loan debt. And we talked about it and people agreed. Well, guess what? Let me tell you what Sister Manira sent me a little while ago. And see, this wasn't about just Black folks. This is like people in general. But we could have been on top of this if folks would have just not just listened, but really, was like, okay, let's do it. But anyway, I digress. Let's go to Brother Ken Bridges, because again, we're talking about internal and external repair. And what are we talking about with internal repair? We're taking that to the next level. As Brother Ken Bridges suggested 10 or so years ago. We keep repeating some of this stuff as if it hasn't already been said and or done. So let's hear Brother Ken Bridges, Ancestor Ken Bridges.
Well, thank you, my sister, and thank you, Viola, for having a sister introduce me. Brothers and sisters, we've been talking about reparations today, and we're excited about reparations. It is owed us. It is due. There was a crime against humanity called slavery, and reparations is due. But in a conversation that we had with Dr. Conrad Worrell back in January, when we were talking about the Mata Network, a Black channel of distribution, linking up Black people that are spending money with Black people that are making goods and services and working to get our $600 billion that are in Black hands to stay in Black hands longer. When Conrad heard what Mata was about, he said, my brother Ken, what you are talking about is a form of reparations that we have not talked a lot about, my brother. But he said it's a form of reparations that's called internal reparations. Conrad went on to say, he said, brother, this concept of internal reparations comes initially from 1993, the first Pan-African Conference on Reparations. And Dr. Chinwezu, Professor Chinwezu in Nigeria, coined the term internal repair. Dr. Chinwezu said that reparations is not mostly about money. Chinwezu said that reparations is mostly about internal repair. Repair of ourselves spiritually, brothers and sisters, mentally, brothers and sisters, economically, brothers and sisters, internal repair. Chinwezu went on to say, and Dr. Worrell, coining the term internal reparations, embraced it fully by simply saying that internal reparations is what we can do for ourselves. External reparations is what others must do for us. They owe us. But brothers and sisters, make no mistake about it. These two efforts must be simultaneous. We must demand reparations because it is due us from them. They owe us, no question about it. But brothers and sisters, I want you to think about this for a moment. We owe ourselves. Do you feel me? We owe ourselves internal reparations. We don't have to ask anybody for it. We don't have to beg anybody for it. We don't have to plead anybody to give it to us. We simply must do two things. We've got to love ourselves more and love our race more, and then we will look inside and do for ourselves. Are you feeling me? Brothers and sisters, we have to keep the pressure on for internal and external reparations. Today is a very different sort of a march, though. See, today, Viola Plummer, Sister Viola Plummer, and Dr. Conrad Worrell said that today was going to be a day that we focused on action. Oh, yes, we must talk. We must rap and we must clap. But brothers and sisters, we got to take one more step. You see, we got to take action. Now, Mata has come with a map. It's a basic map. It's a Mata action plan for internal reparations. We're not by ourselves on this internal reparations, and COBRA is at the forefront of internal reparations and external reparations. Buff is involved in internal and external reparations. D12, we're in this with the UNIA, the New Black Panther Party. We're together and united in the fact that we must get external reparations, but brothers and sisters, we are responsible for internal reparations ourselves. I want to direct you to an action step very quickly. There are brothers and sisters that have Mata t-shirt on just like I have on. Mata is a people, it's a movement, and it's a business. The people are African people, people of African descent who know that we must give and buy black. It's a movement organizing those people to be able to be involved in a business that's a black channel of distribution, where our goods and services that we spend for everyday consumption, we must bring that into the black. It is not any way sensible for us to give 95% of our dollars away. So we simply say this: if we got external reparations tomorrow, and tomorrow was Sunday, if we don't turn around and give ourselves internal reparations, we will give the benefit of that external reparations right back by Tuesday or Wednesday. Are you feeling me? And I'm simply saying to you that our reparations is not going to be wasted. Our ancestors have given too much, done too much. Marcus Garvey has told us we got to think black, be black, buy black, and everything else will take care of itself. Make sure, brothers and sisters, that you get with one of these Mata brothers and sisters, get information from them so you can get involved in an action plan. I'm talking about what are we going to do tomorrow? What are we going to do next week? I'm saying that this is great today, but it would be a failure, brothers and sisters, if we don't take another step after today. Are you feeling me? But let's make sure that we don't end our reparations fight today. It goes on and on and on, and you can only do that with an action plan. I say to you, internal reparations, external reparations is due. Internal, we owe ourselves. Think black, be black, buy black. Thank you very much.
Okay, so here we are in 2026. And that message was approximately either 2000 or 2001. So here we are, roughly 25 years later. Family, I'm hoping y'all see the real reality of what's going on here. Meaning, we keep talking these same things. We'll have a moment, a spurt moment of whatever, and then it'll all dissipate. Now, what happened with Mata, for those that might didn't see the opening the opening lines there, Kim Bridges was unalived, meaning someone took his life. Now, for those that do not know, again, he had just come from a meeting with a company that had approved several millions of dollars to place into the Mata network. And it was from Grenada. It was black folks. And coming from the meeting, supposedly the DC sniper unalived him. So now, here we are 25 years later saying the same thing, buy black, buy black, buy black. And what we're saying again is, see, what's so interesting about what's happening now is the actual coordination. So you figure if something like Mata could be in effect and it was growing, you hear me? And I mean growing consistently. Philadelphia, Atlanta, New York, DC, Chicago, they was moving with Mata. And my point is, if something that is really organized or being organized can be removed or whatever, what do you think is going to be happening with these one day boycott? In other words, and I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying, when do we learn to be more strategic and more organized and have some backup plans? That's what I'm saying. And so with MWM, we have one. We're going to be presenting it very soon. But we also support other folk and want to connect with them. And we're going to give you two that we already are connecting with. We'll tell you more about that at another time. But what's happening right now is great with not purchasing from Asian and all of that, but we have to be more organized. So we're going to be introducing, and again, next Friday, UBA, United Black Business Association and Alliances, and our In the Black initiative, In the Black 360, 365. And it's very similar to Mata in a way, meaning How do we purchase from us? But to do it in a way that is a day-to-day reality built into media. For example, for Philadelphia, once we establish the Yuba Philly, we'll be advertising on WRD, a Black-owned radio station. In August, we're planning to do our first Better Black Business Conference. And so there has to be ongoing things in order for there to be growth and development. We have to examine what presently exists in these various cities all across the board. How can Black women, for example, pull our monies together to start opening something in our communities that provides product? That you got all these stores in a lot of our communities of other people with supplying the needs that our people need on a day-to-day basis, be it toilet paper or laundry detergent, and we're not able to do that anyway. We know that we can, and so to come up with a plan of action on how to do that is what's now going to happen. And we know that there are folk that are online, giving out good information, and it's wonderful. But what we want to also do is be in our communities. We support what's going on online, but we want to be in our communities also. Get with some of these churches. Even though we know a lot of them sold out, but still, do due diligence and let's see what can be developed. So these are some of the things you're going to hear us talk more about starting next week when we introduce New Black Philly and as a model that we want to duplicate in other cities, but the dynamics of that city will be applied, be it Baltimore, be it Atlanta, be it Newark, whatever. So we'll go more into that a little later on. So let's open up the floor. What are your thoughts, family? You just heard Brother Ken explain or give some insight into internal reparations and external reparations. Internal reparations in terms of how we're healing and repairing ourselves. What's the plan for that, for real? And again, MWM has one. We're going to be now presenting it in a fuller context. But again, what are your thoughts, family? Internal, external reparations is one of the questions. Also, freedom. Where do we go from here? Let's open up the floor.
All right. That being said, we're going to open up the floor, family, for any questions or comments on the information that you have heard thus far. Any questions or comments, family? I'm gonna go to those in the that's on this join us on stage. Those in the yard, those on StreamYard with us. All right. So anyone can chime in. We have Baba Moses, we have Sister Dot, we have Sister Shayla, and we have Sister Manera. Any questions, comments, any thoughts on this matter? Any of
Peace.
Peace. All right, how's everything?
Sister Manera.
All right, greetings. Give thanks.
Peace and power to everyone. Well, we had several of our ancestors who wrote the black print, for us to do for ourselves. Like the blueprint to Black Power, you had Mata, you had so many of our freedom fighting ancestors who paved the way. Madam C.J. Walker. I mean, the list could go on with, the work that they have, groundwork that they have laid for us to continue in their legacy. We have a platform right now with where do we go from here, and that is, MWM, our black print. it's all, it's based on our own everything, and we have to pull together, unify with, and connect the dot with like-minded people to make things happen. We gotta stop. I mean, we done enough talking, and we just have to start doing. We have to put up, shut up. Either way it goes, we just have to do for self. And
I
I
should.
mean, everything that is necessary for our people, and our families, we need to just create and develop everything. And we have
Okay,
people
thank
who
you.
laid the groundwork, like with the toilet paper. We have a group of people. I mean, everything that we need in our daily lives, we have to create and build for ourselves. So that's just my 2 cents.
All right. Good thanks. Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, definitely on point. I mean, the brother, kind of broke it all the way down.
Mhm.
And these are some components that we thought about. We were, kind of teasing with. Every now and again there is a, um, cause for outrage and things of this nature where there's, pushing for boycotts and, kind of more of a reactionary, type of initiative. But, this is this groundwork has been laid, you know, in order to have something that is sustainable, right? For us to continuously build black economics, continuously build black business, support black business, create those gateways, create those avenues and vehicles in order to do so, those platforms. And so, like you were saying, we really don't have any excuse today in 2026, and hopefully, by this time, people have gotten enough of a wake up call where they don't hit the snooze button and fall back to sleep. Because a lot of people are talking about they woke, but they still laying in bed. So, folks got to get active. It's not good enough just being woke. Folks got to be activated. They got to be doing. That's part of that whole movement thing. And hopefully by this time, we've the when I say we, I mean the masses of people recognize and realize that, and are looking to a more sustainable present and future.
And so with that said, Brother Lumumba, this year and next year, but starting this year is going to kind of be a litmus test. And what I mean by that is National Black Solidarity Day. So we're now putting the call out to folk to start a coordinating team or committee in your city, so that come November, I think it's the 3rd, I'll check the date on that. But every year, the day before election is Black Solidarity Day. So now, what we've been advocating for the past, I guess maybe 5 years, is that folk observe something that is already there. And let's take it to the next level. So now here we are with all this talk about boycott, about, refraining and da-da-da. Can we come to an agreement that on November 3rd, the day before Election Day of this year, we will all abstain from this system for one day?
Okay. Okay.
Right? So now, if folks can't do that for one day, let me tell you the reality of all this other stuff. If we can't commit for one day not to spend our money in this system, then to me, all the rest of this stuff is just like, whatever. because we had plenty of time to plan. Most folk that work have vacation days, sick days,
Right.
right? So there's no excuse. One day, you have enough time to plan to make sure you got whatever you need in the household for that one day. That you don't have to go out nowhere, spend no money. And again, that particular observance is more than 50 years in effect. Started by a black man. So if we cannot say today, the day after Juneteenth, that we are going to commit and be disciplined to decline, to remove ourselves from the system economically in November, then I don't want to hear it.
And on that note, more of a proactive approach instead of a reactive approach, because we got the things going on right now with the boycotts, and folks is boycotting Asian businesses, and more importantly supporting black businesses, which should have been the focus the whole time anyway. But that still was a reactionary type of initiative. So we're talking about being more organized and being more proactive in how we are governing ourselves and how we are spending our dollars. All right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So again, we're putting the call out, y'all. And my correction is November the 2nd. The actual election day is November 3rd. So when Dr. Carlos Russell created Black Solidarity Day, it was and is the Monday, the first Monday of November, the day before Election Day. And this has been in effect for over 50 years. And folks years ago used to really do it nationwide. Well, we are reigniting this. What you talk about showing a sign of unity and solidarity for us to do this nationwide? And how much is that asking? That you don't spend money for one day? Wow, you're saying that folks can't or won't do that for one day? Well, we shall now see. We will now see. This is going to be a teachable moment for real. Because again, if our people will not do something like that for one freaking day, then that speaks for itself. So the clock is ticking, y'all, and we are now in effect. National Black Solidarity Day, the call for November the 2nd, nationwide, a day of abstinence.
All right.
Okay.
And I do have a short clip of Dr. Carlos E. Russell, if you want me to play that. And also I wanted to say, of course, revolutionary love to ancestor Sekou Odinga. All right. Speaking of our ancestors, once again, I'd be remiss if I did not mention Baba ancestor Sekou Odinga, revolutionary, longtime activist, member of the veteran Black Panther Party, Black Liberation Army, just a stellar brother, and absolute exemplary person as it pertains to the freedom and liberation movement of our people. All right, so shout out to ancestor Sekou Odinga, whose born day was June 17th.
All right. Yes, thank you for that. And by the way, Baba Jalil Montague will be joining us in August. And the topic for that particular discussion, that's going to be one of our Black Poli-Sci 101 sessions. That's going to be about the history of Black liberation, freedom fighting in the U.S. And of course, we're going to talk about the Black Liberation Army then, now, and the future.
Ashe. And I do have a clip for, as I said, Dr. Carlos E. Russell, as well as for Baba Ancestor Sekou Odinga. So let me know if you want me to play either one of those clips.
Oh, yeah, please.
Okay. Which one did you want? Should I do Dr. Russell first?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let me share my screen. And okay, let me share this one here. Now, this is the brief history of Dr. Carlo E. Russell. All right, getting into brief history of him and Black Solidarity Day. I could show a clip of Dr. Russell himself actually receiving an award from our brother Charles Barron. So I have that clip as well. All right, let me play this and get to the history.
Black Solidarity Day, Black Panamanian, founder of Black Solidarity Day, Black Panamanian poet, writer, activist, organizer, and educator, Carlos Russell was born on August 6, 1934, in the then U.S. controlled Panama Canal Zone, in the predominantly Black town of La Boca. His parents were Anna L. Cordington Russell and Alberto H. Russell. They had lineages from Barbados and Jamaica. His familial histories are tied to the 250,000 Afro-Caribbean people that built key infrastructure in Panama, including the famed canal, and the cultural capital that forever changed the isthmus. Russell graduated from the National Institute in Panama and left the country in 1955 on a student visa to DePaul University in Chicago, Illinois. He lived and worked on the south side of Chicago. He was in Chicago following the aftermath of the lynching of Emmett Till. Russell was among those who could point to Emmett Till's murder and his funeral as an ultimate moment of consciousness raising. Russell moved to Brooklyn, New York in 1961, where he continued to work as an organizer and educator in various capacities. During the 1960s and 1970s, Dr. Russell was a primary organizer for the first National Conference of Panamanians. He was also one of the creators of Bahiano, which is the first Black newspaper and Panamanian newspaper in the US, written in both English and Spanish. Other co-founders noted are George Priestley, Walter Livingston, Aguila Jimenez, and others. Carlos Russell was ambassador to the Organization of American States, and while serving as the Panamanian ambassador for the United Nations, Dr. Russell, inspired by Douglas Turner Ward's fictional play, Day of Absence, in which a small town in the South is suddenly devoid of its Black population and is crippled by their absence, he established Black Solidarity Day in 1969. Black Solidarity Day is held annually on the Monday before Election Day in November. Black people are encouraged not to attend school or work and to abstain from shopping in white establishments. Dr. Russell was professor and chair of field studies at SUNY Old Westbury and professor emeritus at Brooklyn College, CUNY, before becoming dean of contemporary studies. Carlos Russell passed at the age of 84 in 2018, but his legacy lives on.
It was part of the insidious systemic racism in the country that forced people to deny who they were. And it is something that I don't think that we have given enough attention to recognizing what effect what Joy Leary calls post-enslavement traumatic syndrome is all about.
All right. Right.
Yep.
Screen share there.
Yep. Here you are. So, I mean, how much more has to be said? I mean, here's the history. Here is the plan. Like Sister just said, our people have already given us information and plans of action. And so why do we keep ignoring these things? Anyway, some of us will no longer do that. Some of us haven't been doing it, and some of us will no longer do it. So, again, start spreading the word. We're going to, work on a campaign that will extend this idea, this concept, but people need to form committees in their community, because that way we can start listing the Black businesses in our community so that we can begin to really be organized. Because again, November, and then after that is December. And so you know that folks spend money in December. So if we are ready, we will have the listing of Black businesses in our communities, as well as the things that are online. But what about the people in our communities? So let's get it on, y'all. Let's get it going.
I say. All right.
Okay, any further comments or thoughts on that before we go back to Sister Manira to talk about the article that she shared with us earlier? Questions, comments, thoughts?
All right, and shout out to brother Ray tapping in with us as well on the YouTube, on our YouTube live. All right, and we got some ecstatic responses from Sister Shirley as well on our YouTube. All right, so much appreciated on that, as well as Sister J Renee.
All right. So, with that said, let's go to the next segment. So, again, family, over the years, you have heard us talk about several things. And one of those things is with the We Charge Genocide 21 initiative, one of the demands that was more in our immediate range, as opposed to protracted struggle, was the demand for there to be a rescinding of student loan debt, Black student loan debt. So we've had these conversations, and many folks agreed that this was a good move. However, there was no other action, that folk wanted to take, and so we kind of sat back and waited to see how that would unfold. Well, Sister Manira sent an email earlier today, and it had an article in it. I'm going to send you the article in a minute, Brother Lumumba, but let's bring Sister Manira in, because she sends us some wonderful stuff, a lot of stuff. But this particular article, again, clearly shows that we're on top of our game, needless to say, because now a class action lawsuit has been filed and apparently has been won. But guess what? And this is regarding predatory loans as it pertains to the student loan situation. Now, this particular class action suit, by the way, is not just for Black folks. And well, Sister Manira, are you ready to share a little bit about this with us? While I send the actual link over to Brother Lumumba.
Yeah, I already peace and power again and prosperity. I already sent some more powerful information to you and Brother Lumumba.
Okay.
So you can just check your emails. I
Okay.
sent it in your emails.
Okay.
But anyway, a group of it actually is like a group of like about 500,000.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
500,000
Students. Mm-hmm. Sister Manira might got cut off there. But yes, the
You hear
She'll
me?
come
You
back.
hear me?
Okay, there you are. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about 500 or more, and the list continue to increase, and they doing it in phases. But this is like the third thing. I think the third phase of 300,000 students who got relief from their student loans canceled, and it's the project on predatory lending. So they filed the class action, which I'm probably sure that other students, you know, from various different ethnic groups can, join this class action as well, and increase the numbers. But they won the lawsuit. They started it. It was with the former Department of Education head. So I think it was Du Bois who was the head of the Department of Education under the Biden administration, and I think under the Obama administration was another, either um, Bush or Obama, the head of Department of Education. But this litigation was predated back to other administration, and
Hmm.
now the newly appointed, which is McMahon under Trump, they awarded the students, and they won the cancellation of their debts. And of course, it was something that you've been
Yep.
talking about for so long in terms of our people,
Yep.
but it goes to show that someone's listening other people,
Absolutely.
and they decided to form a class action, and they got relief. So debt cancellation, something
Yep.
that you've been talking about, something that we all can do, and
Yep.
particularly our people, because I know our numbers are very high. If they actually probably do the race, I'm quite sure we probably uh have the highest number of you know um student loan debt, along with other things.
Right.
But
And
it goes to
so,
show that if we could, come together, first of all, listen and heed to the call of great minds such as yourself, in terms of coming up with remedy, and we actually take heed, and we take it serious, and just move on it, we could have been probably at this point as well. So
absolutely.
you know
Yeah,
that's
let me
just my
just do a
two
little side. Thank you, Sister Munir. Let me just, and again, folks, y'all gonna get spanked. I'm telling you, spiritually, metaphysically, folks gonna get spanked. Watch what I tell you, because again, we cannot continue to have ancestors and our and freedom fighters of today, etc., to do the work, make the sacrifices, and then we sit back and just act like it's not happening. That can't continue to go down that way, and it's not going to. So We Charge Genocide 21 was started 10 years ago, and one of the key things in the 25 or so, or 21 plus demands was in fact the rescinding of Black student loan debt, because I knew that was winnable without a shadow of a doubt. And so it just required folk to make some moves, to do something, to get involved, to get active, and they wouldn't do it. And so again, now here we have again, and there's a couple other things that's getting ready to happen that we have presented to our people. And see, here's your poli-sci 101 for tonight. So 2 areas that this government is going to, shall we say, if not appeal to, at least make some headway in with. One is students, right? Because you got to think about who can be influenced the easiestly when it comes to motivating them to vote. You see, and so when you put people in a situation where you're removing debt from them or them having to pay money, you have already put in place, excuse me, the capability to, shall we say, influence folk to do other things. Now, so that was point number one. Point number two is, or group number two is Black women. That's going to be the other target group, good, bad, and indifferent. Because again, from a political standpoint, that is a strong entity that can be influenced. And once they're influenced, it's a loyal entity if they're influenced in a certain kind of manner. So again, if the lessening of student loan debt is taken off of the students, it's also taken off of the parents. So now you have to see the bigger picture here, because this is not about for real helping anybody. This is politics straight up. And for whatever reason, our people will not see the bigger picture of how these games are being played and how we can play it to our advantage to a greater extent. So now, here we are, and I'm going to look at it closer to see the ratio, because I'm almost pretty certain that the larger group that's going to benefit, just like with the Bakke case, affirmative action on the surface was supposedly to help us. But we know without a shadow of a doubt, again, that the beneficiaries from that was primarily off-white women.
And if you read the article, it's gonna tell you the clients, and they said the clients were predominantly women, people of color.
Right.
But they say who are the individuals that were a part.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm going to look into it closer to see. It's funny whenever you hear people of color.
Well, I'm just
Right.
saying that's what
Right.
they use in the article. When
Right.
you want, once you
Right.
get the
Right.
email that I sent you,
Right.
you'll see what they
Yeah, see, that tell you right there. See, again, folks, like Brother Moomba said, if folks say they woke, let me tell y'all sleepwalking. Really, because some of this stuff is very right in our faces. And for whatever reason, people just don't want to deal with it. And now, though, with what's getting ready to happen in the next 2 years, and I also say the Ma'atic epoch is on the horizon come next year, when you start looking at the celestial structure of things, people are going to begin to get their butt kicked for not doing what they know they should be doing when it comes to our people and the advancement, the positive advancement of our people.
And if I could add into that really quickly, another side note is, as far as Black women is concerned, they're also one of the largest percentages of degree holders presently in the country.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And so with that said, Brother Lumumba, again, see, this is very interesting for people who study political stuff, because the percentage primarily for Black women professionals or whatever, they're loyal to the Democratic Party, right? Without even, blinking an eye.
Yeah.
It's just a program. So for the other people to now interject something that affects the lives of their children, that's a game changer, or potentially a game changer. You see, And so folks need to really pay close attention to how this stuff is now being played. Because right now it's always been about economics. But it's really about economics now in a different kind of way. You see, but anyway, as we move forward, we will be developing our own independent political think tanks so that we can really examine some of this stuff in a more intelligent manner and deal with more appropriate actions. And we cannot depend on other entities to do that for us anymore. That's not working. That's not a good move anymore. It wasn't then, but it's definitely not now. So with that said, we're going to open up the floor again, family. We're missing out on possible wins. Here's a good example. I'm going to give you two more in a minute. But first, I'm going to open up the floor and see if there's any responses to what Sister Manira just shared with us and what we're talking about in terms of the reduction of student loan debt.
All right, with that being said, I'm going to open the floor up once again. Any thoughts, questions, comments on the information that has been shared thus far? Let's see who we have left. We got Sister Shayla and we got Sister Dot. I think Sister Manira dropped off. She'll probably be back on. Sister Shayla, Sister Dot, any additions on this?
Oh, no comments. Just listen to. So I agree with everything. And being real, I hope we globally, I don't know when we will learn to acknowledge the reality that we are in. Yes. And sometimes I have no hope, but I have a little bit hope because I meet people like you, at least bring information of trying to open the mind. But once we are on the ground dealing with people, so in our daily life, I suppose it's also your experience. It's very hard. Yeah, so we shouldn't lose our hope, but it's not so easy dealing with Black people. So thank you.
Thank you, Sister Shayla.
Thank you, Sister Shayla.
And I want to say, as this is the Manera, I want to say, as a person who, when I returned home, I went and got my degrees, and I went as far as associate, then my BS, and the next step was me taking out a loan.
Mm.
And I recall that when I was gonna go into my MSW, it was time to either put up or shut up, either get a loan. And I was like, hold up, that's what really that what held me back from going into an MSW program.
Mm.
So, that student loan stuff is really serious because it hinders individuals chance to, you know, elevate or get higher degrees um if they don't take that route. But if they do take that route, that's like the beginning stages, because after you get that little Pell Grant and all that other little EOF stuff that gives you the opportunity to get, some of that grant money for education. When you start going up the ladder, they want to go into your pockets. And
That's
another thing with the predatory student loan stuff, also not only the loans, but the books and everything. Everything is predatory. I mean, you have to actually, and I'm quite sure if individuals know about the pricing, how they charge you for the books and all the different fees and everything. It's and I think they had a exposed had did a anybody remember the social the filmmaker exposed when they used to expose different various different people and issues, and they did a video on college fraud.
Mm.
I don't know if anybody could recall the social media, I mean the filmmaker called Exposed.
You know what? I do remember that vaguely now that you mention it. Yup, I do
Yeah,
remember.
they used to
Yeah,
expose a lot of stuff that will give you like a wake up call. And they
yeah,
did one on college fraud.
yeah.
And
I
they
do remember that.
showed you how and it's still if I could go in my archives and find it, I had the video
Mm-hmm.
because I had a lot of exposed, and that's why I used to sell. There's a lot of educational documentaries,
Yeah, yeah.
and I gotta find it, but it tells you about how they literally is cashing in on school and colleges and different you know places of higher education, and it's all a scam. And
Yeah,
they
I can speak from personal experience on that as well because I used to live in the library because it was, like you said, some of those books was super expensive. So I wasn't about to buy it. I would go ahead and borrow it from the library, and then I would jump on a copier. I'd print out like 30 sheets. I was like printing out pages of the textbook,
I can't hear.
like 30 pages, and I front and back and
yes,
copy that, and then I go about my day. I was not buying them books, you know what I mean? But I still
yes,
ended with some debt on there. But
you
yeah, absolutely.
definitely had to
You had to
improvise.
be crafty.
Yes.
Hmm.
But if I can, I'm gonna try to find the documentary so you can probably air it.
Right,
But it's
right.
exposing the Department of Education, and I mean it is give you something to think about. But once I find the video, you'll be able to show the video
Yeah, we'll
as a
share it out.
part to it, right? All right.
All right. So
Absolutely.
let me also share a little tidbit on some of that as well, keeping in mind, see, this is why again it just baffles my brain a little bit as to why we don't get the stuff at this stage of the game, meaning the structure, the so-called higher educational structure period, is designed, has been, and will continue to be designed in a certain kind of manner. First of all, it deals with classism. It also deals with process of eliminations. In other words, it filters out, because remember, only X amount of our people are going to be allowed to obtain a certain type of degree anyway. That's the way the structure is. And then from that, they really want to make sure that they're able to, shall we say, have a certain type that are able to move into higher education, such as masters, PhDs. So the way it's designed primarily for the privileged who don't have to worry about those economic pieces. And then the ones that do have to worry about the economic stuff, they get caught in a trap because 9 times out of 10, they're going to take out a loan. And 9 times out of 10, those loans is going to go on and on and on. Because remember, there's interest on those loans.
Yep.
So you're constantly paying back those loans and don't go into a default. So it's already designed, it's rigged. And at this stage of the game, we should know this and be doing things to get us out of that system. That's why, again, with the We Charge Genocide 21, what was one of the other demands? The more immediate was the removal of Black student loan debt. The other was ultimately tuition-free education. That was already in our plan, written. We shared that 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. You see, if we're not looking at this thing holistically and on multi-levels, we are wasting too much time. Because some of this stuff we already know and have known. And we keep letting people duke us, distract us or, sway us to another direction or whatever. So that was one of the other topics or other things I was referring to in terms of we're gonna play ourselves if we don't start acting on some of the things that has been presented and is being presented. So again, We Charge Genocide membership is open, has been open. And so we haven't pushed it because sometimes I just like to see what people are going to do or not do. Because at some point it has to go beyond conversation and it has to go into here's what we actually supporting. You see? And that's what now has to happen. So again, 2 other areas that we proposed and have got limited to no feedback. And so we're going to move now in another kind of way with it. And it is this: the National Black Anti-Defamation League. We talked about this like over 5 years at least, when we were doing Blog Talk. And the other one is, of course, the National Association for the Advancement of Black People. Now, again, point of clarity for those who still feel a little way about using the word black, what were the codes called to discriminate against us legally once the so-called, Emancipation Proclamation and some other stuff? What was the legal thing called to make certain that Jim Crow laws and other things, what was it called?
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Black Codes.
But that might be, more of a reason for people to say, see, black,
No. Why didn't they call it the Negro Code? See, again, I don't care what, and I get your point, Brother Lamumba, about that's even more reason why people, but see, people better start thinking a little more out the box for real. Because there's a reason why black is such a threat to them and others. And why they attempt to, every way that they can to deter you from that. And I'm going to go more into that at another time, but I want people to be very clear why they were saying Negro for everything else during that time period. They made sure that on the legal tip, on record, the thing was called the Black Codes.
And I
for
find
law.
it interesting also that France also called it the Black Codes, except they
That's
used
right.
law.
Yep, absolutely. See, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. More beyond what people be talking about. Oh, nah. Y'all let people keep believing what off-white folks say about certain things. Keep buying into that like that and see what happens. All right. At any rate, so my point is, legally, here you have something on record that distinctively says Black Code. Now, who are they talking about? You see, who are they talking about? They ain't talking about no people of color. They're very specific with that. So if a claim is going to be made on certain things, guess what? The document is right there as to why and how we were being violated. There's no question. Anyway, I digress. That's a lesson for another night or another day. But the point that I'm making is, come August the 23rd, and for those who are interested in being delegates, you need to sign up for that, because we will be meeting with representatives from some of the countries. And some of the sessions will be closed sessions and some of them will be public sessions. Either way, folks will need to sign up. So time is ticking. Time is ticking. And membership is required for that particular interaction. So we'll give you more information about that tomorrow for our Ubuntu session at 7 o'clock. In the meantime, let me give you a couple of quick dates. Baba Jalil will be doing Poli-Sci 101. I have one date so far for him, which is August 5th at 6:30. I'm waiting for him to give us the other date for August, but we do have August 5th. Next week for Poli-Sci 101 on June 24th and June 29th will be Sister Inez Barron. And we'll be sending this out via email very shortly. Okay, so Poli-Sci 101 sessions will be resuming. And we have others that will be added on, but these are confirmed.
All right, Ashe. We did have a question in the chat. Shout out Sister Robita, and also tapping in at Harper, A Harper 7840. I'm not sure if that's male or female. I think it's female, but thank you for your additions as well. At A Harper 7840. Sister Robita X, sign up where? Okay, so for additional information, you can email nationalmwm@aol.com. That's nationalmwm@aol.com, and you can tap in there in order to register for any of those initiatives, memberships, so on and so forth. All right, they'll send you out a form, and you can sign up for any one of those committees or initiatives. All right. I believe there's the We Charge Genocide 21. There's the MWM General membership. And is there a specific membership for this delegation?
No, that's a part of We Charge Genocide 21.
Okay.
So once they are members of the We Charge Genocide 21, then they get the more extensive information regarding the meetings and other kinds of things that will be relevant to the August 23rd and the sessions thereafter. Because remember, we are also going to be requesting a meeting with, if not the Pope himself, certainly someone from his, from his circle, for lack of a better term. And again, that's in reference to the statement that he made regarding slavery. And so our position and question is going to be, where do we go from here? And so there will be a commission that will be established to make certain that there's ongoing dialogue with the representatives from the 123 countries and any other entity to begin to determine what's the next steps. You see that? There has to be conversations about that. How can we support one another? Now, Brother Mumba, are we able to show the recent development that has occurred in the CARICOM countries? That there was a meeting recently that took place in Ghana, and they have already begun to move on some of the things that they are, meaning the 123 countries, they're making moves now about some of the things that they want to start working on. And again, we have to be organized in order to be able to move in those circles and in order to be able to advance in some of the things that we're focusing on. You have to be organized to do that. And so that's why now we trust Genocide 21, we're formulating the various think tanks and committees that will connect to some of the other entities.
Okay. Did you already send me that information, or do I need to find it?
I will check and see. I know I do have it on my flash drive. I'm not sure if I actually sent. I thought I may have sent you some of it, but I'll check and see.
Okay. All right. Shout out to Brother Pollinator tapping in. Shalom, shalom to the brother El Pollinator. All right. Of course, we have our Ubuntu Justice Jubilee Committee meeting tomorrow. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. And you have a meeting coming up on the 26th as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
The New Blacks Philly.
Mm-hmm. In fact, did I send you that flyer?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'll be sending that out again starting this week. We'll be posting it tomorrow at Malcolm X Park. There is the annual Juneteenth, parade tomorrow. And so we'll have flyers there, but we also distributed them yesterday at the Juneteenth event here in Philly at the Rotunda. And so this week we'll be, really getting it out there further. But this will be the first of several because we plan to take these sessions citywide. And again, family, no matter what city you're in, you'll be able to, check some of them out because we're starting it in Philly, but the intention is to bring some of these demands, some of these proposals to other cities as well. This is why over the past 5 to 10 years, I've gone to other cities, spent time in other cities, built with folk in other cities to be able to get a better feeling and comprehension of what's going on specifically in those locations. And, as we were developing and drafting things that we wanted to see happen, one thing we knew for certain was education. There definitely needs to be a focus on independent education. So one of the conversations we've had here in Philly is to start our own, shall we say, freedom and repair charter school. Now, even though that's not totally independent, there's a reason why we wanted to do it that way first. And it is because historically, at least in the past years, more recent years, most independent schools were not able to survive. And so knowing that, we felt it would be best to do it in the context of a charter school, for lack of a better word, even though we would still do it a little differently from what presently exists. And then that way, for a couple of years, we could literally, go through the day-to-day motion of running an actual school without it being our cost. Right. And so this was one of the things in the research we realized is that, unfortunately, starting a school really requires a lot from the administrative standpoint and so forth. And so most don't have that experience like that. And so we figured it would be best for the first 2 years or so, not more than 3, to do a few charter schools just to get all the nuances and other things out of the way, learn how it operates on a day-to-day basis. Let them pay for that, right? And then be ready to do our own larger institutions. That doesn't mean we still won't have independent components that deals with education. We most certainly will. But on a larger scale, we need to be able to really go through the day-to-day operations and not have it be costly to us. So again, that's a different modality, a different type of plan of action. Because we're putting a timetable on it, not more than 3 years. We have it in place. We shut it down. Because it's not designed for us to stay in the system. It's just not designed for that. So, okay, I'm gonna leave it there for the moment and see if there's any more questions or comments before we get ready to close out.
All right. I want to open the floor once again for any questions or comments. And I did put shout out to Sister Manira once again. I did put the information in the chat for the article for the rescindant, college student loan rescindant, and also the college conspiracy piece that she was talking about for YouTube. So both of those are in the chat currently.
Okay.
And so you can go there, copy and paste, and check that information out further. Also, still have that clip as well from our ancestor Sekou Odinga.
Okay, sure.
Okay. All right, but before I do that, let me go to the floor real quick to see if there's any additional questions or comments. All right. Okay, does look like. All right, so let me give some tribute to ancestor Baba Sekou Odinga.
Here, how you originally got involved in the Panther Party, or drew you to it, and how it shaped your own life?
I got involved in the Black Panther Party early 1968 when the party first come to New York. What kind of motivated me to join the Black Panther Party was that I, along with some of the comrades that I was working with in New York, had heard about the Black Panther Party, and they were doing things that we wanted to do in New York, and we thought that would be a better vehicle than the vehicle that we had going on in New York. They were better organized, and they were already had their 10-point platform and program, and people already heard about them. So we decided that we would join the party when given a chance. In fact, a few of us had actually went out to California in late '67 to check it out, to see was it all we thought it was, and we had found out from them that it was. And so when we heard they were coming to New York, we got there and joined the party as soon as we could.
But even before that, you were also a member of Malcolm X's Organization of African American Unity.
Yes, I was right before he passed. But when he passed, right, the Organization of Afro-American Unity was only a year old, maybe less. I can't even remember exactly how long. So we didn't really get a chance to do much work in that organization. I had been attracted by Malcolm X when he was still a member of the Nation of Islam, and I was in supposed to have been a youth prison, but it was really just a prison that they had turned over and said now it's for youth. I was 16 years old when I went in there, and when I come out, I was looking for him to see if, to hear him, to see him, to see if I wanted to be a part of what he was dealing with. So it took me about 2 years before I actually joined, maybe a little less. But I didn't spend much time with it. We tried to organize our own organization called the Grassroots Advisory Council. That was the group that I was saying that we were part of, that we were thought that the Black Panther Party would have been a better vehicle for us to participate in, which is what we dropped and went into.
Talk about how being in the Black Panther Party shaped your case, how you ended up in prison.
Well, as one of the leadership of the Black Panther Party in New York, I was the first Bronx section leader when it first come to New York. And I was also a member of the founding member of the international section of the Black Panther Party in Africa, Algeria. So I was kind of one of those identified by COINTELPRO as someone to maintain, to follow, to listen to control any way they could. So
that's J. Edgar Hoover's counterintelligence program.
Yes, and so I think once they realized that who I was after my capture, when they first captured me, they didn't know who I was, and they had, although there had been what they call a shootout, there was no real shootout. We were running. My comrade and I, Untari Shabaka Sundiata, we were running from the police. He had been involved in action up in Rockland County, and they were looking for him, and I was trying to help him get out of New York. And so we were running from the police, and we both shot over our shoulder while we were running, hoping to slow them down so we could try to get away. But so when we was first captured, well, he was murdered on the street. When they caught him, they knew who he was right away, and they murdered him laying on the street. But they didn't know who I was. They hadn't seen me in about 13 years. So they didn't. When they brought me in, they had first charged me with something like, if I remember right, it was resisting arrests and having an illegal gun or something to that nature, the Sullivan Law. But after my prints come back and they found out who I was, later on that night or the next day, actually it was the next week, if I remember correctly. It's been a while now. This is back, we talked about 35 years ago. But later on,
you
they
were
upped
captured
those
in
charges.
81.
They upped those charges from the resisting arrest, etc., to attempt to murder police, which upped the time that they could give me from a few years to life. Because for attempt to murder police, you can get 25 years to life, and that's what they gave me. Six charges, 6 counts of 25 years to life, or 6 sentences of 25 years to life, running together. So that's how I think it changed. Once they realized who I was and that I was one of the targets of COINTELPRO, the charges went from low charges to extra high charges.
And this whole issue you mentioned of being part of the international section of the party, most, especially young people, a lot of them watching this show, don't really understand necessarily the impact that the Panthers had, not only in the United States, but internationally. And for a while after there was a split in the party between Huey Newton and Eldridge, there was a whole group that was working in Algeria, weren't they? Could you talk about what happened there and your impact in terms of the movements in Africa that were in existence at the time?
Well, let me back up a little bit. I don't think that it was just a split between Eldridge Cleaver and Huey Newton. There was a split between two factions,
right,
and people have, for whatever reason, identified it as Huey Newton, Eldridge Cleaver, but it was like from my perspective, it was the left from the right. You know, that some people were on the right, as we called it, were moving to the right and moving into mainstream politics rather than revolutionary politics. And those of us on the left was maintaining that we had to be different from that. Now, to go to the effect that it was the party was having a big effect all through the world, through Europe, Latin America, Africa, and in many places, support committees came up in Europe, and in Africa, we were able to work with many of the different liberation movements. We were welcomed by all of them that was in there, and almost everyone was in Algeria at the time. So I think we had a profound effect on many of the different movements. You've seen people emulating our 10-point program and platform, seen people starting to emulate our dress code, the black tam cut to the side and leather jackets and stuff like that.
And the 10-point program, what was most important to you there? What was it that attracted you to the Black Panthers?
Well, the whole program attracted me. But what attracted me more than anything else was to stand against police brutality, because like all the other ghettos in this country or black areas of this country, police brutality was running rampant. From my first memory of it was in New York, was a little Clifford Glover who was murdered out in my neighborhood in Jamaica, Queens, out over on New York Boulevard, Guy Brewer Boulevard, they call it now. So I think what we were really concerned about was trying to put some kind of control on the police, or at least be in a position that we could counter some of what they were doing. So that was the attraction, the big attraction to that for me personally, and many of the comrades that I came in with, because we were not part of the civil rights movement to turn the other cheek. We were mostly followers of the Malcolm X position that if someone smack you, you smack them back. If someone punch you, you punch him back. That your life was the biggest and best thing you had, and you had a right to not only protect it, but to defend it by any means necessary. And so,
all right, I'm gonna stop the screen share there, family. And that was words from Ancestor Baba's Sekou Odenga. All right. And so, just a little bit of the impact of the Black Panther Party, some of its history, and some of the heroes, right? We cannot allow the system, we cannot allow our enemy to give us our heroes, right? This is a phenomenal brother, who did some extraordinary things, all right? One of the brothers that was responsible for freeing Assata Shakur, okay? So this is a monumental man, all right? And so we have to make sure that we continue to honor and salute the contributions of our ancestors and our elders, right? And look to them as examples to the framework of how we should operate and so forth, all right? Some of the bars that are set that we need to reach and to exceed. So shout out once again to Ancestor Baba Sekou. Right. All right, family. With that being said, let me open it up one more time for any questions or comments before we get ready to close out this evening. I think I did see a comment in the YouTube. Let me bring that to Sister Empress, I believe. And you might have to shoot the email because this might be more extended than the time that we have left. All right, because we're getting ready to close out for this evening. But At A Harper 7840 asks, charter school, independent school, is someone experienced in administration of these schools working with you? Okay.
I'm sorry. Say that again, Brother Moomba. What was the question?
The question is charter school, independent school, is someone experienced in administration of these, I'm assuming, types of schools working with you?
And so I'm gonna, before I answer that question, I'm gonna ask a question and hopefully they can respond to that. And so my question is, why do you want to know that? Because, see, this is what I've learned over the years, and it is that oftentimes, and I don't have a problem with answering questions, but what I've learned is a lot of times people ask questions, and I'm not saying you necessarily, sister, brother, but my experience has been that people ask these questions, and there's really no intention of supporting, you see. And so for me now, before I get into asking or answering a lot of questions, I have to know, why are you asking me that question?
Right. What's the motive? What's the intent?
Right. Sure. Yep.
All right. So that is to A Harper 7840. Is there an intent to offer some expertise in these arenas to be able to connect to support? So that is the question to you. I'm not sure if you're still on YouTube live.
So while we're waiting for a response, let me say this. In Philadelphia alone, there are hundreds of educators, right? Many of them work for the public school system. And so the question, or I won't say the question. So over the years, we have reached out to a lot of the folk here in Philly who we know are in fact educators and have got little to no response. And primarily when we focused on independent, right? So now, so just to kind of fast forward, so what we've done in the interim is made other connections, because the folk in Philly, for whatever reason, have shown little to no interest in independent education. Now, I will say one person in particular who has shown the interest and has also pledged their support, and that's Brother Shamari, who is an educator. He teaches at the University of Pennsylvania or something of that nature. The point is, so I'm saying that to say that we can prove that we have reached out to people in Philly who have master's degrees in education, bachelor's degrees, certification, and all kinds of things, and have gotten little to no response. But that has not stopped us. So now, with that said, we move forward.
All right. All right. Thank you for that, sister.
I'm a witness to that.
Yes. All right. All right. So I don't think there's any additions with that. So with that being said, I don't think there's any further questions or comments. Let me turn it back over to you, Sister Empress. Closing thoughts, final remarks.
Okay, that was for me, Brother Mumba?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I do want to give one other name, and that is to our sister Basima Muhammad Bey, who, just to respond to the person that asked the question. Sister Muhammad, Basima Muhammad Bey, has been a teacher in our community for many years, helped to develop a curriculum, but she was also the supervisor, principal. I don't remember exactly what title it was, but there was something in Philly called the Academy of the Way. And it was, in fact, an independent school. And she did, in fact, and was one of the administrators there for several years. So the answer to the question, because I wasn't trying to avoid the question, the answer to the question is yes, we do have people who do have experience. But I will also say that most of the people that we attempted to get input from realistically have not. And I'm speaking of even the people who commemorate Kwanzaa and Black History Month and those kinds of things. We could get no responses from them. And this needs to be said and told and understood because people are faking the funk. Now, we're talking about educating our children. Oh, and by the way, of course, Mama Gail is in full support, and she works diligently with not only, the children, but educators and others. Okay. And we have, of course, looked at the curriculums that have been available. We are hoping to obtain the curriculum that Dr. Ed Robinson produced here in Philadelphia years ago, that the Philadelphia school system had initially said they were going to utilize and didn't. And so we're saying, again, we have educators here in Philadelphia, but yet their actions, we're gonna really show what their actions have really shown us, have done in terms of independent education. So I'll leave it at that for now.
All right. Great.
Oh, one quick thing. Big ups to Minister Ishmael. Minister Ishmael from the Temple of the Lost Foundation here in Philadelphia has, in fact, agreed to support our efforts in developing independent education, and with that has lent his their office space for us to do classes. Independent educational classes.
All right, I say. Give thanks. All right.
I'll share you on that one. I'm ready. I'm volunteering. Set me right.
Excellent. All right, family. So with that being said, for additional information, you can email nationalmwm@aol.com. Again, email nationalmwm@aol.com. You can also email me at powerman2282@gmail.com. That's powerman2282@gmail.com. You can also text 267-636-3802. That number again is 267-636-3802. Tap in, touch base if anything that has been shared this evening has interested you. Okay. So let's get on board. Let's get involved. And let's make this thing happen, pushing forward with liberation. All right. For our people and being better organized. All right. So tapping with the Million One March Universal Movements and all the initiatives and programs that encompasses. All right. With that being said, we're going to close out for this evening, family. Thanks once again for joining us this evening. This special Juneteenth edition of New Day Resurrection and Liberation. All right. With that being said, I want to give thanks first and foremost to the Most High Creator, Creatress. I want to give thanks to the ancestors and the elders, those who have shed blood, sweat, and tears and paved the way to allow us to be here today. Thank you to you all All those who are tuning in on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live, joined us here in the yard, uh, on our stage, on StreamYard, on this edition of New Day Resurrection. Thank you for your time, energy, and effort, dedication, determination, and discipline. I bid you all truth, justice, peace, love, freedom, power, prosperity, protection, patience, and divinely principled purpose. I want to say, let us continue to strategize, organize, and mobilize. And finally, I want to say, Pomoja Tuta Shinda, which means together we will win. All right, family. So also make sure you follow up with us again. That is tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Zoom and Facebook Live. That's our Ubuntu Justice Jubilee Committee meetings. All right, we're talking about for August the 23rd. And this is going to be a continuation, a project that is going to span into 2028, where we're looking to build a concert series to push more so to the forefront the need for continuous fight for Black human rights as well as reparatory justice. All right, of course, join us on Tuesday for Ethereal Journey podcast, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as on the 26th for our program at the United Church. Excuse me, I don't have the paper in front of me, but tap in for additional information.
Universal Kingdom of God,
Okay.
I believe it's called, at 31 North 60th Street.
All right. And what time is that?
6:30.
6:30. Okay. So 6:30 on the 26th. 31 is 31 60th Street, North 60th Street.
Yep, 31 North 60th Street.
June the 26th at 6:30 p.m. All right, family. Thanks once again. Appreciate you all. Peace, power, and prosperity. Until next time.